China National Highway Network Planning, 2013 to 2030, is a plan by the Chinese Ministry of Transport to significantly expand the China National Highways network. The plan calls for the construction of 50,000 kilometers, 31,000 miles, of expressways and 160,000 kilometers, 99,000 miles, of toll-free trunk highways. The expansion plans to connect every county in China by national trunk highway, and every city with a population over 200,000 by expressway. At the publication of the plans in 2013, there were still 18 such cities that lacked an expressway connection, as well as over 900 counties not connected by trunk highways. The cost of the plan is estimated at 4.7 trillion yuan, $767 billion. A similar planning is active for connecting all provincial capitals and cities over 500,000 inhabitants by high-speed railway. In October 2020, the Ministry of Transport reported that 98.6% of cities over 200,000 population had been connected by expressways. By December 2020, Zhejiang and Shaanxi reported that all their county-level divisions were connected by expressway. By December 2022, all county-level divisions of Chongqing and Guangxi were connected to the expressway network. The Expressway Network of China, with the national-level expressway system officially known as the National Trunk Highway System, is an integrated system of national and provincial-level expressways in China. With the construction of the Shenyang-Dalian Expressway beginning between the cities of Shenyang and Dalian on June 7, 1984, the Chinese government started to take an interest in a national expressway system. The first modern at-grade China national highways is the Shanghai-Jiaotong Expressway, opened in October 1988. The early 1990s saw the start of the country's massive plan to upgrade its network of roads. On January 13, 2005, Zhang Chunxian, China's Minister of Transport, introduced the 7918 network, later renamed the 71118 network, composed of a grid of 7 radial expressways from Beijing, 9 north-south expressways, increased to 11, and 18 east-west expressways that would form the backbone of the national expressway system. By the end of 2020, the total length of China's expressway network reached 161,000 kilometers, 100,000 miles, the world's largest expressway system by length, having surpassed the overall length of the American interstate highway system in 2011. Note, it is not longer than the entire federal U.S. numbered highway system, which is 259,032 kilometers long, and American state highways, both of which includes many roads that are up to the expressway standards, but also some that are not. Planned length of China's national trunk highway system is 168,478 kilometers, 104,687 miles, by 2020. Many of the major expressways parallel routes of the older China national highways. Prior to the 1980s, freight and passenger transport activities were predominantly achieved by rail transport rather than by road. The 1980s and 1990s saw a growing trend toward roads as a method of transportation and a shift away from rail transport. In 1978, rail transport accounted for 54.4% of the total freight movement in China, while road transport only accounted for 2.8%. By 1997, road transport's share of freight movement had increased to 13.8%, while the railway share decreased to 34.3%. Similarly, road's share of passenger transport increased from 29.9% to 53.3% within the same time period, with railway share decreasing from 62.7% to 35.4%. The shift from rail to road can be attributed to the rapid development of the expressway network in China. Expressways were not present in China until 1988. On June 7, 1984, China's expressway ambitions began when construction of the Shenyang-Dalian Expressway began between the cities of Shenyang and Dalian. Due to policy restrictions, the expressway was nominally implemented on the first-grade automobile special highway standard in the initial stage of construction, thus making the highway technically not an expressway. Despite this, in October 1988, 4 years later, 2 full-speed, fully enclosed, controlled-accessed expressway sections from Shenyang to Anshan and Dalian to Sanchilaput totaling 131 kilometers, 81 miles, were completed, with the 108 kilometers, 67 miles, middle portion of the expressway remaining a highway. It would take until August 20, 1990, for all sections of the highway to become that of an expressway. The expressway is now part of the longer G15 Shenyang-Haikou Expressway. On December 21, 1984, construction began on the Shanghai-Jiaotong Expressway in the city of Shanghai. The Shanghai-Jiaotong Expressway opened on October 31, 1988, becoming the first completed expressway in China. The 17.37 kilometers, 10.79 miles, expressway now forms part of Shanghai's expressway network. In December 1987, construction of the 142.69 kilometer, 88.66 miles, long Jingjiantang Expressway started, connecting the municipalities of Beijing and Tianjin and the province of Hebei. It's the first expressway in mainland China that uses a World Bank loan for international open bidding. The expressway was opened on September 25, 1993 and later became part of the G2 Beijing-Shanghai Expressway. On September 3, 1998, Huabei Expressway Company, Limited, Northeast Expressway Company, Limited, Hunan Changyang Expressway Company, Limited, and Guangxi Wuzhou Transportation Company, Limited were approved by the government as the first batch of nationally issued stock companies that would develop, construct, and operate expressways in China. On January 13, 2005, Zhang Chunxian, China's Minister of Transport, announced that China would build a network of 85,000 kilometers, 53,000 miles, expressways over the next 3 decades, connecting all provincial capitals and cities with a population of over 200,000 residents. The announcement introduced the 7918 network, a grid of 7 radial expressways from Beijing, 9 north-south expressways, and 18 east-west expressways that would form the backbone of the national expressway system. This replaced the earlier proposal for 5 north-south and 7 east-west core routes, proposed in 1992. In June 2013, the Ministry of Transport introduced the National Highway Network Planning, covering both the National Highway System and the National Expressway System from 2013 to 2030. Goals include making traffic travel more convenient and developing a variety of regions, as well as more focus to the highways and expressways of the western regions of China. According to this plan, the total size of the national road network will reach 400,000 kilometers, 250,000 miles, including 265,000 kilometers, 165,000 miles, of common national highways and about 118,000 kilometers, 73,000 miles, of expressways. In addition, the 7,918 network would be renamed the 71118 network when the number of north-south expressways were increased from 9 to 11. Huang Min, director of the Basic Industry Department of the Development and Reform Commission, said that whether the plan is for ordinary national roads, the development of expressways is prioritized more in the western regions. According to Huang, the 2 expressways were to be added to the western region, while none in the northern, eastern, or southern regions. In 2014, Wang Tai, deputy director of the Highway Bureau of the Ministry of Transport, introduced the National Toll Highway Mileage and Mainline Toll Stations. On November 6, 2015, Hu Zuoicai, deputy director of the National Development and Reform Commission, introduced a reform policy for construction of China's expressway system that was approved by the State Council. Hu claimed that the current highway construction is facing problems such as pre-approval and evaluation assessment. Through simplification and integration of examination and approval stages, it will help speed up the pace of highway construction, promote urban development in the region, and help stabilize growth and promote investment. This policy, during the 13th five-year planned period, would focus on 5 aspects. Speeds up the building of expressways, especially to link the broken roads between the provinces as soon as possible, and to play the overall role of the expressway system. Supports the 3 major strategies and strengthen the important domestic and interprovincial channels of the International Economic Cooperation Corridor, connecting important coastal highways along the coast of the Yangtze River and linking the construction of important port highways. Serves new urbanization and urban agglomerations, and connecting cities and cities within urban agglomerations between cities and cities is the key to construction. Supports poverty alleviation and cracks down on poverty by linking between cities and regions. Efforts are made to improve the efficiency of transportation, so that the freeway and other modes of transport can be seamlessly connected or transferred and the overall transportation efficiency can be improved. In 2020, all toll booths at provincial borders were abolished in favor of ETC, greatly reducing traffic congestion. In 2022, the NDRC and MOT published a new National Highway Network PLA, added and reformed several expressways and national highways. is expected that all national expressways will connect prefecture-level administrative regions, except Sansha, other cities and counties with 100,000 and more populations, and important border checkpoints. The total costs of the national expressway network are estimated to be 2 trillion yuan, some $300 billion as rate in 2016. From 2005 to 2010, the annual investment was planned to run from 140 billion to 150 billion yuan, 17 to 18 billion while from 2010 to 2020, the annual investment planned is to be around 100 billion yuan. The construction fund will come from vehicle purchase tax, fees and taxes collected by local governments, state bonds, domestic investment and foreign investment. Unlike other freeway systems, almost all of the roads on the NTHS/7918 network are toll roads that are largely financed by private companies under contract from provincial governments. The private companies raise money through bond and stock offerings and recover money through tolls. Examples of these companies include Huabei Expressway Company, Limited, Northeast Expressway Company, Limited, Hunan Changyang Expressway Company, Limited, and Guangxi Wuzhou Transportation Company, Limited. Efforts to impose a national gasoline tax to finance construction of the tollways met with opposition, and it has been very difficult for both the Chinese Communist Party and the State Council to pass such a tax through the National People's Congress of China. China has an extensive tollway system, which composed of nearly all expressways as well as having around 70% of the world's tollways. Tolls are roughly around 0 Chinese yuan and 50 cents per kilometer, and minimum rates, e.g. 5 Chinese yuan, usually apply regardless of distance. However, some are more expensive. The Jinji Expressway costs around 66 cents per kilometer, and some are less expensive. The Jingshu Expressway in Beijing costs around 33 cents per kilometer. It is noteworthy that cheaper expressways do not necessarily mean poorer roads or a greater risk of traffic congestion. Roads in Tibet and Hainan are all toll-free. In Tibet, this is done to stimulate economic development, whereas in Hainan, the cost is covered by a provincial fuel tax, first instated in 1994. Tolls are waived nationwide during national holidays, such as Golden Week, and regionally for locally observed holidays. For example, Xinjiang makes all expressway travel free during Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha. Expressway planning is performed by the Ministry of Transport of the People's Republic of China. Unlike the road networks in most nations, most Chinese expressways are not directly owned by the state, but rather are owned by for-profit corporations, which have varying amounts of public and private ownership, which borrow money from banks or securities markets based on revenue from projected tollways. Examples of these corporations include Huabei Expressway Company, Limited, Northeast Expressway Company, Limited, Hunan Changyang Expressway Company, Limited, and Guangxi Wuzhou Transportation Company, Ltd. One reason for this is that Chinese provinces, which are responsible for road building, have extremely limited powers to tax and even fewer powers to borrow. Since the late 1990s, there were proposals to fund public highways by means of a fuel tax, but this was voted down by the National People's Congress. China's tollways were criticized for having excessively high toll fees. According to zhongxin.com, by reducing toll fees, it will lead to logistic costs reductions, another problem encountered by the country's expressway system. Reforms of the tollway system were planned by the National People's Congress with the inclusion of cost reduction of bridges.